Okay, my friends, here it is. The Saturday morning live stream at the Garden Like a Viking headquarters. It is zone 5/6/ nobody really knows anymore because we definitely have winters that can get down to -20. So I don't know what people are talking about. Now we're zone 6. So, okay, guys, let us know where you're at. And here's the sound check. I just started more onions yesterday. Did anybody hear what that was? What did I say in the whisper? That's how we got to do the sound check because we're live. Okay, guys, so let me know where you're at, what you are planting, what you have. Okay, good. Thank you, Meyer Lemons. Yes, and what I said in the sound check was that I just planted more onions yesterday. And so let that be a signal to you guys that it's not too late. I've got people online saying, oh man, I wish I would have known this sooner. You know, it's too late now. I'm thinking, no, it's not too late. It really doesn't matter that much where you're at. Onions are a very particular thing. And one of the greatest crops you should be growing yourself, definitely. And onions are very particular because it's not like the rest of the things that... you know, you want to get out, like if you're in Texas somewhere, you want to have tomatoes and some things planted already because the blazing summer heat will kill them off. Onions are day length sensitive though, so it all focuses around the solstice. For the most part, it all focuses around the solstice, the summer and the winter. Winter for short day, summer for long day, remember that, or intermediate day. But what I just planted yesterday was these organic Rosa di Milano onions. Based upon the suggestion of one of you guys on the onion video, you said, oh, I really like this, is my favorite. So I looked it up and I really like what I see. So a chef's favorite, this fast growing long day Italian heirloom tolerates cool weather and stores extremely well. So it's a pink skin with robust sweet flavor and grano style flat top. So I looked at them, I looked at a lot of the reviews and stuff, and they're apparently a phenomenal storage onion. So I definitely am giving this a try. I ordered 3 packs of these seeds, and I just planted them all yesterday, and started them all yesterday, and so we'll see how that goes. Because the Wethersfield Red is a great onion, it really is, and I like it. It's just... you know, you could do better. I mean, onions could improve a bit from that. You know, they're really small. They're generally kind of small, and they store well though. I still have many of them, rock hard in the basement, no problem. But I'm definitely open to trying different ones. Now, as far as white onions though, the yellow of Parma and the New York Early, that's all I need. That's all I need because the yellow of Parma have been amazing, and the New York Early is actually a bit more pungent even than that. So, guys, let's see who's here and what you guys are talking about. Ooh, Mary Robertson, $10. Thank you, my friend. It says, I'm in Florida. I have a barrel with weeds and water to make a fertilizer. I looked at it a few days ago, and it has mosquito larvae in it. Can I still use this? Also, soil mites in purchased plants. Yes. So, 2 separate questions. And the first one is about the liquid fertilizer. Now, remember, guys, if you have made the fertilizers, like the JLFs, the weeds fertilizer, the fertilizer of various weeds from the garden, if you made it according to the directions in the video, then once you seal that lid, anything that happens is fair game. All kinds of gnarly stuff is going to happen in that barrel because it's a decomposition. All the molds and the bacterias, but also the larvae, mosquito larvae, even those disgusting to some people they're disgusting. To me, they're not because they signify fertility. Those soldier fly larvae, you know, they're like double the size of maggots. Those can infest the whole brew. Not a problem. Blue mold, gray mold, black mold, none of that stuff is a problem in those type of ferments. So, red beard bunching onions. That's a good one, Sam. So none of that stuff is going to be an issue. Okay. So don't worry about that. I get a lot of questions about that, and it's all part of the decomposition process. Now, part 2 of that question was, can I still, also soil mites in the purchased plants? Yes, that can definitely happen. But once you take them outside, and introduce them to the balanced soil ecosystem and the thriving soil food web and all of that, then they're going to disperse. So it'll be fine. Okay, let us see here. Well, you guys been chatting already. Let's see here. Teresa Dura says, I would just ask if he has done nitrate. I think you're talking about somebody else. Nitrate test, because we don't test for nitrates and all that kind of. We don't do testing like that. Okay, So I would just ask if he has done nitrate test to see if aerobic decomposition methods produce less nitrate than the anaerobic method. Now, that's a great question. That's a great topic. We actually have several questions about that today. So remind me, and I'm going to read Jerry's question here shortly. And we will discuss the difference between aerated compost teas, between the anaerobic ferments, and between compost extract and leachates. Big difference, and then also like the fertilizer. So we'll discuss all of that here in just a little bit, all right? So let us see. Justin Millward says, Nate Dogg, trying to make fish amino this year. Do you ever make a super juice, FAA, fish amino acid, mixed with calcium, or FPJ with fish hydrolysate? All the time, at point of application. We don't mix them together in their concentrated forms, all right? We will do it at point of application. So, for example, if you want to use the fish amino acids, which I just made that video yesterday, guys, you want to get on that train, okay? I know I've showed you how to make several different fish fertilizers, but there's so much complaint about the smell that we're going to go with the fish amino acids, because there's very little smell if you do it right, exactly according to the instructions. The whole time, there's very little smell. And we will get into that here in a moment. I want to discuss a little bit more about the process and why we have to use the sugar and what osmotic pressure is, what it means, and how we utilize that. So yes, I will add some of the calcium, some of the FPJ. I'm going to show you guys how to make fermented plant juice here as soon as spring actually arrives and we see the fast growing weeds. We're going to harness the enzymes and the plant growth regulating hormones, in particular the auxin. And I will explain all of that, how we're going to do that. And then we can add, when we make our aerated compost teas, you'll see we're going to add all these little concoctions to perfect everything, and it's all that you'll need. So when you hear me saying that, when you hear me saying all you need is the aerated compost tea, I'm not just talking about molasses and compost. You know, the most basic of all the teas. I'm not just talking about that. The Viking compost tea has got many different things in it. All right. Yes. Yeah. The hydrolysate can smell good as well. Definitely. The hydrolysate ends up smelling good. I mean, they all end up smelling to various degrees, but I'm talking even during the decomposition process, the fish amino acids, even during decomposing, doesn't smell, which is mind-blowing. So, let's see here. There was one more. Eric Ingham says, Nate, are those mycorrhizal products like Rootwise, Recharge, and Great White worth it? Are we supplementing the same microbes with leaf mold and compost teas? So it really depends on your application. Now, if you are growing things like Great White, we used to use that when I was growing the high value plants in Northern California, only when we were doing indoors and when we were growing on things like Rockwool Cube, or if you're growing in areas that are not natural, then it can be very good, yes, to add the microbes. But if you are farming outside and you're utilizing the natural practices, you're making the JDOM microbial solution, or you're making the aerated compost teas using my recipe, which you'll see here in another couple weeks, then then you don't need any of those products. I mean, you really don't. I'm sorry, product companies, but you don't need those at all, because 1 gram of good quality leaf mold soil is going to contain everything that you need. Seriously. And so when we're utilizing this stuff and all these different practices on this channel, there is nothing additional that those products can give you. I don't care what some manufacturer says. Well, no, see, these are real arbuscular. These are endo mycorrhizals as opposed to the arbuscular type mycorrhizals. Yeah. Okay, that's why we need to buy your product. But it just doesn't really work like that, guys. I mean, there's thousands upon thousands of spores in the leaf mold soil. And so remember, you can't multiply the mycorrhizal fungi in compost teas or in extracts or anything like that. The only thing that can multiply more mycorrhizal is a living plant root in the ground. And so for that reason, if you want to build your soil with more mycorrhizal, you will inoculate it with the microbial solutions, the compost teas, and utilize compost and leaf mold and some of the manures, but then you will also cover crop, and you can alternate years of cover cropping and fertility adding. Remember, fertility adding is adding manures, compost, all that stuff, but soil building is what cover cropping does. Yes, soil building, very different. So yeah, Alvin K says, firstly, the powders aren't a good medium for these microbes, but I think that they're a better product, or they're a good product if you don't have anything better. Right, if you don't have anything better, or if you're growing indoors where you need a sterile environment, that changes it completely. But if we're talking vegetable garden outdoors, absolutely not necessary at all. Lisa T, $5. Thank you, my friend. Says, Nate, thanks for all you generously share. Can you please talk about collecting onion seed? Much appreciated. Yes, onion seed, guys. So the onion is a biennial, and that means that in its first year, it focuses on vegetative production. And the bulb is actually included in that. It's also part of the vegetative production in that respect. And then the second year, it focuses all of its energies on flower and seed reproductive functioning. So what it's meant to do in nature is that it will grow the first year, and then the bulb is going to store the energy, capture the solar energy and store it. And then the next year, the whole focus of that onion's life is to put up the flower stalk. So that is why a lot of you guys, when you plant onion sets, the tiny little onions that you get from the store, so many of them turn to flowers. You'll see all kinds of flower stalks in your onion set patch. And that is because they're already in their second year. But so if you want to collect seeds from the onion, then all you have to do is take your best onions that have stored over the winter, and pretty much any time. I mean, in about late March, depending on the weather, they can't get like brutally cold, but they can easily take hard freezes, down to 20 degrees Fahrenheit and stuff. But if you want to get the best onion seeds, then when you plant out your onion slips or your onion plants at about first couple weeks of April, then take that onion that has stored, or even if it started to sprout, that's perfectly fine, and just nestle it into the soil and kind of bury it just up until the top of it is protruding. Just nestle it into there like that. And that is going to put down roots, and it's going to immediately focus on putting up a big old flower stalk. Then you're going to see a big, beautiful flower. The flower from onions is gorgeous and very tectonic looking. Is that not? That's not the word. I forget but very awesome looking. And so we will let that get pollinized, let that get pollinated. Every tiny little flower on there has to be pollinated. So we'll let the insects do that. We'll let the bees do that. The flies in particular like onions for some reason. And then once you see it, about the time you're going to harvest your other onions, once you see the flower start to wither, lose its color, and then you're going to see the little white flower heads kind of peel back, and you'll see a little black onion seed in the middle. That's when it's time to take it, because in nature, the onion seed will put up the big flower stalk, and then it will flower, and then it will drop some of them, but then also the stalk will fall over and all those onions will scatter like that. And that's how it sort of, would naturally spread itself. So we'll just mimic all those things. And remember, if you want to grow onion seeds, you pretty much have to grow onion. They only store like 1 year, maybe 2, but you'll have much less germination the second year because they're oxidized so quickly. The coating on the seed of onions is very thin, and so they oxidize. So that's everything you need to know about onions, pretty much, to do it. So let me know if that answers that. So Sam Potzik says, my onion sets last year were disappointing. Yes, that is a common theme. Okay, Val says, hey, Nate, got here late. Did you talk yet about watering the indoor onions? When do I bottom water? And how's the weather there? You're in a t-shirt. I know. It's sunny and it's like not cold. It's like 50, something like that. It's going to be 70 tomorrow or the next day. But I am actually leaving this afternoon to go to Tennessee for the consulting trip. Another one to my friends now. And so I will be there for a couple of days. But I'll get back to that question in a moment, but I wanted to answer Harvesting Faith Homestead because I saw this up there earlier. She said, can you make them seed faster? So, onions, no, because they're day length sensitive. Now, based upon my particular set of skills from Northern California, you could, if you grew them in a greenhouse and then you pulled tarps over the entire greenhouse or the hoop house or whatever it is at a certain time every day. But you would have to gradually do it, and you'd have to set a timer, and you would have to literally trick them out into thinking that the days are getting shorter by the minutes. So every day you'd have to adjust it a couple of minutes, and then after a couple of weeks you would see it start to flower, because it would think that the days are getting the solstice is already passed. So is it possible? Yes. Is it a lot of work and infrastructure and dedication? Absolutely. Is it worth it for onions? No way. For onions, no. If you're growing some high value plants, it's very much worth it, but that's about it. So the watering of the onions. Now, watch the video I made. It didn't really take off for some reason, which maybe it's the thumbnail. I don't know, because I made a video about how to water perfectly, and it just doesn't really take off. It was like last year at this time, and if you watch that video, you will know everything you need to know about watering trays, period, or pots, period. Because so many people, you'll hear, okay, come on. You'll hear so much about, okay, you got to wait until the top 1/4 inch is dry, or you got to wait until the top 1 inch of soil is dries out before you water again. And that's like the dumbest gauge I've ever heard. It really is. I mean, that just doesn't make, so you got your micrometer out and you're going to look in there and you're going to dig down into the soil and just disrupt the roots and everything. Okay, the top 3/16 of an inch is dry, so I got to, no, that's not the way to do it. And it's not the way to do it to say, okay, every Saturday you water them. That doesn't mean anything as well. And so the only thing that matters is the weight of the tray, because that indicates the saturation level of the soil. And so in that video, I show you, if you're not accustomed to it, I show you how to do it. You start with one tray that's bone dry soil, and then you super saturate one until it's dripping wet, and then just watch the video. And then you feel it. And so I developed this method in Northern California when I had to do thousands and thousands of them. And so I didn't have time to sit there with the micrometer and look and say, okay, is it dry? Has it been Saturday or 4 days or whatever? Because they don't consume water at the same speed. So I would just, after several years of practice, now I would just walk into the grow rooms and just lift each tray, just boom, 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 boom. I can tell and say, okay, that one's heavy. It doesn't need water. Oh, that one's light. It needs water. And then I can gauge how much to give it as well. So the only gauge you need is by weight, is by feel. And that goes for pots, that goes for 1 gallon pots, 5 gallon pots. So not cloth pots though, not cloth pots. It has to be a rigid pot. If you start lifting a cloth pot, every time you lift a cloth pot, you destroy all those little micro roots that have formulated. So you want to, once you put the cloth pots in their place, you want to leave them there. Okay. Yes. And so, and I also wanted to say, remember I was on that podcast last year, Urban Gardener? I think, I forget exactly if it's the 9th or the 16th, but it'll be on a Saturday. So I'm going to do another one, except we're going to fix the audio this time. So I want to make sure every one of you guys is there. We're going to go right from here. The Viking Horde is going to storm the castle, the podcast, and we're going to have another good talk, because who knows what we'll talk about. Yeah. So, but I just have to see real quick. Sorry, I just have to see real quick if the man, I'm getting so many emails from companies and stuff right now, guys. It is crazy how many companies are trying to get to you guys. That's essentially what it is. They're trying to get to you guys. So, okay, March 9th. Yes, March 9th is when we're going to do it. So it'll be right after, about an hour after this. So make a note, okay? Yes, that's right, Aaron. Shield wall. Yes. So, let's see here. Will Kasumano says, collected 5-gallon pail of leaf mold. Should I keep it watered or just leave it be? Thanks, Nate. I'm pumped for the season. All right. Glad to hear you're pumped. You should, again, kind of go by feel. You want to mist it every now and then. You just want to keep it moist. You don't want to saturate it. You don't want to actually pour water on it. You just want to keep it kind of covered with a breathable lid and keep it misted. Yes, yes. Because if it gets bone dry, it becomes less effective. Yeah. Jeffrey says, LOL, those companies trying to pimp you out, Nate. Yeah. Well, they're trying to like pimp out your attention span, or your mindset, and that's just not going to work. That's not going to work. Although one company actually had a product that I was interested in, and it was like a really high quality countertop composting bin. It's like stainless steel with a wood thing. So I was like, sure, send me one. So we'll see, but it's kind of expensive, but I don't like the one that I have, because the one I have is stainless steel, but it's the one with the holes in the top, and it always lets the odors through and the fruit flies in and stuff. So this new one has apparently it's airtight. So we'll see, but that's the only kind of thing, Yeah. Thank you, Ms. P. Says, Nate, if you feel like a product is worth endorsing, then by all means go ahead and do so. Thank you. I'm glad that you have the understanding. Definitely. But, like I said, I just feel like the what we're doing here, with the school, the land that's coming, the books that are coming, just the whole brand, all of that stuff that we're building, companies reaching out to me like that, it's just peanuts, and not even worth like focusing, could you imagine in one of my videos, okay, guys, now I would like to thank the sponsor of this video today. And so thank goodness I found longevity, because if I didn't find the greens and longevity, then, I wouldn't know, I wouldn't have good health. No, that's just not who I am. That's not what it's all about. And yes, Justin Millward said, you need a brand manager that can take your knowledge and ideas and produce your own product line. Obviously, you can't bottle sunshine, but there is no one out there doing what you offer. Thank you, my friend. And yeah, that's really what's down the line. We're starting with the Viking granular nutrients, definitely, because everyone's always asking me, hey, if I don't want to mess with making all the liquid, smelly fertilizers, what's a good one to buy? If I can just buy a granular one. And I honestly cannot give my stamp on any of them, because they're all... this is me saying this from a grower standpoint, that used to have to spend thousands of dollars in nutrients. They're pretty much all a joke. I'm sure there are some decent ones, of course, especially the organic ones, but the only way that I could recommend it is to make my own. So, yes, Julie Pooley says, review the item, even if you don't like it. We will all learn. Might find a gem. We might. Yeah, definitely. That's a good mentality. Alvin K says, wait, you're saying you're not sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends and Manscaped? Oh, Manscaped. Yeah. Wouldn't that be funny? Okay, guys. Yeah. So, Outside in Georgia says, how far above the seedlings should the 500 or the 5000K shop lights you recommend be? That depends on the lumens. Now, lumens is not an exact gauge, but it does indicate the intensity of the lights. So the K and the lumens will matter. So, for example, I found some 20,000 lumen 5Ks. And or something like that, 4700. And so they're nice and powerful, super bright. And so I can have them 2 feet above the plants, no problem. And the plants are just fine. Yeah. So it's not, you see those strip LED lights and stuff, the especially ones with the purple and blue and stuff, and the red ones that you see those grow. You have to put those like right on top of the plant because they're so weak. You know, you have to put those right down close. But it's better to err on the side of too close than too far. So start with too close. Yeah? So let's see. Corey in says, this dude is the real deal. You can tell he'll go to bat for his friends and students. Thank you, my friend. Yeah, well, that's exactly right, though. I'm not letting them in your mind like that. So, look to nature. Nate. Meyer Lemon, what's time? No. Is leaf mold in greenhouse? What's time? No. Not sure what the question is. Is leaf mold in greenhouse okay? You can put it in the greenhouse. Absolutely. Yes. And Meyer Lemon, remember, the Meyer Lemon is not an actual lemon. Like, so for the Master Cleanse, it's not, it's actually a cross between like a mandarin and something else. So, okay, outside in Georgia, 13,000 lumens for those shop lights. Okay, great. I mean, you know, you want the spread to be enough. So the farther up you go, the more the spread is going to happen. So, you know, like think of in office buildings and stuff, the lights are 8-10 feet away. And the plants, I mean, they're house plants, but they're growing, you know, with that lighting and stuff. So it's, you want them to be closer than further away, but you don't have to have it right there like that. If I would say at least a foot from the top of the plants. Even 2 while they're young is okay. You will have to gauge. You will have to look and see. Remember, guys, and this is rare with using the shop lights and stuff, but if you're using like, you know, 1,000-watt high pressure sodiums growing certain plants or whatever, then they can get too much light. And so too much light, you will see the plant leaves will kind of curl inwards because they're trying to block, they're trying to get away from all the light. Yeah. And you will also see too much light, symptoms of that as a magnesium deficiency, because magnesium is the central ion in the chlorophyll molecule, and it gets used up in the process of photosynthesis. And so the plants can be very hungry for magnesium. And so if they don't have enough magnesium, then it's they can't process the amount of light that they're getting. Understand? But you really don't have to worry about that with seed starting and using shop lights. Obinda Okombe says, Nate, how effective is bracken ferns as Jadam herbal solution? I've always wanted to use the brackens, but I have not been able to use it. So I would say that it's pretty effective because it's one of the main ones that he recommends and the most tested of all of them. So it's the Korean pasque flower, the ginkgo fruits, and the Jerusalem artichoke. Those are the 3 main plants, but then the bracken fern is also very high on that list. So although I do not have personal experience with it, I would feel like it would be pretty effective based upon how high it's recommended. Yeah. Ben Joyce says, truckload of fresh cow manure. What do I have to do? How long do I have to wait? Okay, cow manure is not likely to be sprayed with Grazon. Now, you might want to, if you're sure that it's not going to be sprayed with broadleaf herbicides, you want to ask the farmer. Has their feed been sprayed with, has their hay been sprayed with broadleaf herbicides? Typically, it's only in horse manure, but we'll see. You want to make sure because that'll wreak havoc. But you can add some of it now. If you have a truckload of fresh cow manure, it's best to add straight to the soil. You can add to the soil. It's best in the fall time, but you can also add it right now, just smaller amounts of it. And then also make a barrel of it liquid fertilizer. The video that I made last year, how to use fresh chicken manure in the garden, you can do the same process with the cow manure. So just watch that video, do the same process. That way you've got some in the soil, and then you've got some in the liquid fertilizer, and then you could also compost some for future use. For like transplanting midsummer and stuff. So that's what I would do. If I had a dump truck load of cow manure, I would add most of it to the soil as the base fertilizer. I would then make a liquid fertilizer out of it in a 55-gallon drum. I would then also start composting it. So, yeah. John Saldana, good to see you here, my Colombian friend. Says, Nate, my wife is focused on tomatoes. She wants to know what's a good sister plant. One of the best sister plants for tomatoes is basil. It really is. They just help each other thrive. I don't understand the exact science behind it, but I just know empirically that the basil does really good around tomatoes, and tomatoes really love the basil, and they're delicious to eat together. And so the basil that I don't cut so much, because I make a lot of pesto, guys, lots of pesto, and I freeze a bunch of it. I'm still eating on it. And so I have one crop of basil that I cut. And if it's really nutrient rich, like it was last year, because I used the Viking granular nutrients, so it was super nutrient rich, I cut it and it grew again 4 times. And each time it was dark, luscious green. 4 times. So I got 4 cuttings off of that little patch of basil. Now the ones out by the tomatoes, I plant those all around the perimeter, and I just let them go to seed. I'll pinch them off sometimes so that they'll be more, bushy, but then I let them go to seed so that they can have all the pollinators, and they just all really love, being planted next to tomatoes. Big Will Dog, what's up, my friend? Says, Nate, when should I start hardening off my onion seedlings? Okay, here we, this year, unless something changes, plan on planting them out about the 10th to the 15th of April. Okay? So, this year you could put them out on the 1st of April. We'll see how decent it is. If it's not going to fall below the 20s, then it'll be fine. But you only need to harden off the onions for 5 to 10 days, and so do the math yourself there. So I would say definitely not towards the end of March. We're nowhere near, in Indiana, we're nowhere near hardening them off, planting them out yet. Jody Forzani, $15 Canadian. Thank you, my friend. Says, at what point do we start trimming the onions? Is that in your onion video? Yes, it is in my onion video, but since you asked, then the point at which we begin trimming the onions is when they get to about 8 inches tall, give or take. All right, and you'll start to see them get kind of lanky and stuff. And we don't want to let them fall over like that. We don't want, because they'll just grow and just kind of fall over. We don't want to do that, because they'll just stay real lanky and skinny, like strands of, spaghetti. But once they get to about 8 inches, give or take, then we will trim them back to 5 inches. And in the video I show you, you can take the whole tray, turn it to the side, and just cut them to about 5 inches. You don't got to get your micrometer out. And then let them grow to about 8 inches again, then trim them again. But every time that we trim them, we want to fertilize with either some compost extract, which don't let me forget to talk about that, some compost extract, or some fish FAA. That's what I use indoors. I don't use the Jadam fish or even the hydrolysate indoors. I use the fish amino acids because it's so concentrated and there's no smell, and I just love it. And you can actually eat the fish amino acids. You can definitely if you don't add the leaf mold soil, which you don't have to add that. But I found that adding the leaf mold soil, it's the same like adding IMO. In my experience, I can't discern a difference, except the leaf mold is way less work than making IMO. And so what the leaf mold is on there for, if you watch my video I just made, what the leaf mold's on there for is because all of the oils, fish are really oily, and a lot of the oils will sort of float, and so we will... So the leaf mold will decompose, is really good at decomposing those oils. That's what I've found. Let's see. Mom Computer, good to see you here, my friend. Says Nate, emailed you. Oh, that's right. I did see that email. Says emailed you. Called Baker Creek about Purple Galaxy tomatoes. They said that preliminary testing showed they were not GMO, but further testing proved that they were. They are not selling the seeds. Right. I can understand why they're upset, guys, because it is on the cover of their seed catalog. So they kind of probably feel like a fool a bit. And, it's really unfortunate. Just recently, though, with those tomatoes, a type of GMO seed has been released. Yes. But what I've understood, and I still have not had enough time to digest it to have this conversation in depth, like I will probably next week. I will have done enough research and digested it to be able to, in depth, give my exact analysis of it. But I'm seeing that there are different kinds of genetic modification now. There are some that are much more intensive than others. And for the real, even these tomato seeds are not like your cash crops. Because I still look it up. Like, how easy is it to find genetically modified seeds? And you got to sign stuff, and that stuff is patented, and it is kept on lockdown. But apparently now there's this other kind of genetic modification that isn't like the same, splicing slug DNA in with certain plant DNA, stuff like that. It's not quite as Frankensteinish. So still avoid it like the plague, guys. Not because I'm afraid that it's going to, like, you eat one of these tomatoes and it's going to be terrible for you, but because that's not what we're supporting, okay? We're not going to support genetic modification of any kind whatsoever, not in plants, not in humans, not anywhere, because that's not how it goes. So we are going to do heirloom seeds or open pollinated. And we are going to save seeds, and we're going to buy seeds that when we have to from places that have the same philosophy. All right. So I totally respect Baker Creek for doing that, and I can see why they were all up in arms. But I was reading all kinds of articles, on this, and there was so many big ag companies calling Baker Creek throws a temper tantrum because of GMO seeds and blah, blah, blah. Don't they know that the genetic modification is just to put more healthy antioxidants into the tomatoes? Man, see that, and then so you got to look, okay, what's the source of this article? And you see Cargill, big ag, Cargill ag, industrial ag, of course, they're like, genetic modification is just for improving on nature. That's not how it works, guys. That's not how it works. Don't be fooled, okay? We don't need genetic modifiers in a laboratory to add purple anthocyanins or antioxidants into our tomatoes for us to be healthy, okay? We can just get them from purple fruits. We can get them from blueberries and grapes and from beets and from it's not even a question. That shouldn't even be a question. Well, we're going to genetically modify it so it's healthier. No. Nope, we just peaceful non-compliance, guys. That's what I'm all about. Yeah, we're going to coin that term, and it's just, it's already been coined, but we just don't do it, okay? We're not going to throw a big protest about it, but we're just not doing it. We're not going to get those seeds. We're not going to use those seeds. We're not going to support any company that does. Okay, so there's my rant about that. Lisa T, $2. Thank you for the tip, my friend. Says, thanks for the onion seed info. How do we best grow shallots? Well, I have to say that I have not grown traditional shallots before. So, however, I do grow Egyptian walking onions, and those are essentially those are perennial shallots. So if you get them while they're young in the early spring, then the Egyptian walking onion bulb is essentially like a shallot. Okay, so you would grow them pretty much in the same way that you do onions, but I can't say for sure because I haven't grown them. So in the future, I'll be growing them. And definitely, there will be a lot more knowledge on a lot of direct knowledge on fruits and stuff, because I just ordered some cold hardy fig trees. Yes, that are cold hardy. Some super high quality blueberry plants, and also some blackberry plants. Yeah, we're gonna put them out of my uncle's this year because. We need to, I've got so many things I've seen with orchards and experience with this kind of thing, but I want to experiment in so many ways. So we're going to really be experimenting a lot and pushing it and learning a lot with this little orchard area. So that's what we're doing. Evil Roy says, order purple seeds today. 10 seeds cost $20, free shipping, just for the hell of it. Yeah. So he ordered the seeds. Get them. Get them. Supporting the enemy. 10 seeds for $20. See, there's our future. Okay, so we'll just keep supporting that. And then 10 seeds will be $20. You know? So, I mean, I'm not coming down on you for supporting them. I'm just saying, let's not do that instead. Let's see. There was another couple. I want to make sure I get the... Okay, Will Kusumano, $10. Thank you, my friend. I can't see if you had a question or not because I just can't see if you have a question or not. But thank you for the support. I appreciate you. Obinda Ekombe, it's so much in my farms, I will definitely use it. You're talking about the bracken ferns? Absolutely, I would use it. It's supposedly a very good natural pesticide. So you would make it in the same way that you do the Jadam or the Jerusalem artichoke one. Queen RB. Yes, she says, holy crap, $10 a seed. Well, that would be $2 a seed, but still, that's still way, way too expensive. Jason Hetty, the blueberry plants I bought were just... Again, and no, these guys ain't paying me. They should be, but from Baker Creek, you know, because they send you the live plants, and it's like there was like 2 of them for like $18. They're going to be small, but if you're patient, I mean, and you can make things grow nice. So I ordered a number of them. So and I ordered both kinds of blueberries that they have. They have one that grows into a big shrub, and I guess they're the size of cherries. The blueberries are huge and the size of cherries. And so we'll see. The main thing at my uncle's is that we have to keep the deer away. And so we're going to have to come up with clever ways, including the electric fence. So I still need more knowledge on the electric fence, guys. Yeah, Look to Nature says, last $10 seed I bought was a blackberry kush. Right. That's like, yeah. Freebird says, Nate, question, how many lights are in your tent? At the moment, only 2, because I have the mushrooms growing underneath. But pretty soon, I will take the mushrooms out and put 2 more lights underneath. So there will be 4 lights in that tent. Yes. Wojtek, $10. Thank you, my friend. Says, this is against the Tao. What is against the Tao will soon come to an end. Absolutely. This is the way. Teresa Durer, please keep us up to date on berry planting experiments. Yes, definitely. Especially these cold hardy figs, guys. These trees are supposed to get to 15 to 30 feet and yield figs down to zone 5. And so I'm all about it. I love figs. And apparently this variety has 2 fruitings. One in June and then one in the late fall, or one in the fall. So I'm really looking forward to that. Now, a lot of people will say, well, how are those figs cold hardy? There must be genetic modification of some kind. Now, selective breeding is not genetic modification. We have to be very clear on that. Hybrids and stuff like that, that's not the genetic modification we're talking about. It is a form of modifying the gene pool in a way, but it's not what we're talking about, where we're laboratory splicing in DNA, all this bizarre Frankenstein stuff. That is not the same as hybrids. Hybrids are people selectively breeding, which virtually anything that we have in the garden is a hybrid, because almost none of them exist in that state in nature. Their cousins do, they're distant relatives, but humans over thousands of years have selected them for the traits that we desire the most. And so that is how you get, wild mustard. Like when you just go along and you see in a field just the yellow flowers, wild mustard. That is like the great-great-great-grandfather of all the brassicas, of the cabbage, the Brussels sprouts, of all the other brassicas. Sorry. That's from Jenny. Jenny is in Norway right now on a dog sledding expedition. Is that not a little bit far out? So, yeah, it is called, someone asked about the name of the fig tree. It is called Chicago Hardy Fig. Yes? Daniel Frieders, a drive-by fruiting. You're talking about Miss Doubtfire. It was a run-by fruiting, right? It was a run-by fruiting. Yeah. I laughed so hard when I was a kid at that. Let's see here. Big Will Dog, you just asked that question. I just answered it. It says, when should I start hardening off my onion seedlings? I done answered that question. Rewind it a little bit. Let's see. Look to Nature. I think he has all 4-footers. Yeah, these are 4-foot lights. These are all 4-foot lights. Yes. Elizabeth Hendricks, good to see you, my friend. Haven't heard from you in a while. Says, my Chicago Hardy fig didn't make it through last winter. Bought another and planted in a different spot, hoping for better luck this spring. Yeah, I read that in some of the reviews, but we are... we're just going to make sure that doesn't happen. Yeah. Let us see. Tammy Harder says, Nate, I know nothing about seed saving. Can you recommend how to get started? I really need to learn, especially when I get some good producing heirloom plants. I have so much to learn. Yes, please watch the videos I made last year, in the fall, probably, about seed saving. So the main thing is that you want to let it go totally until the end of its life cycle. For peas and beans, you want to wait until they're totally dry on the vine and they rattle like a baby rattle. You want to wait until the squash are totally overripe and almost starting to rot. The cucumbers, you want to wait until they're super swollen and yellow. They drop to the ground and they start to rot. The tomatoes, till they're super fat and big and they kind of start to rot. That's the best time. You want to let everything go to the maximum of its ability. For the most part, I can't think of any others off the top of my head that you wouldn't do that with. Guys, am I blowing this mic out or not? Is it like fuzzy? I can't stand that if it is. So, wow. Look to Nature says Chicago Hardy figs are great. My tree got to 9 feet in 1 year. That's what I'm talking about. All right. Let's see here. Freebird says 4-foot lights at 7,000 lumens. Yeah, you're good. You're good. If you have several of those, that's kind of low on the lumens and the intensity, but it'll be fine. Donald Hughes says, can I grow blueberries from seed or do I need plants? I've never grown them from seed. I'm sure you can, but I would start with plants. Yes, Dorothy, thank you. Says, if your uncle has a spacious plot, use double fencing to keep deer away. Yeah, it's last year we used that deer fencing that's like a mesh, It's for like 300 feet of it. It's like $20 or something, $25. And it works good. It's just that obviously I think it's only going to last 1 year. We would like a more permanent solution, like electric fence. Mom Computer says, Nate, I have 7-foot deer fence, not electric, for sale. It's approximately 75 by 125, works like a charm. Garden was placed on a deer coyote path, never had a problem. Was 2,000. Wow. 7-foot deer fencing. Yeah, we're going to look into the electric. So if anyone needs that fence, Mom Computer has got it for sale. So guys, look, we still got kimchi, tons of kimchi. This stuff is so delicious this year. We grew every single ingredient in here, even the ginger. Yes, delicious. So this stuff is full of probiotics, full of flavor, full of all of the good stuff that we need. Okay, so I highly recommend watch my kimchi video and make it, and make sure it's below the brine. Okay. Rio's Family Garden, did you receive my super chat? Well, let me see. Maybe I missed one. It can happen. Let me see here. Let's see. And we got super chats. Thank you guys a lot for the tips. I appreciate that. I did. Okay. Queen RB. I got to get that one. And then, okay. Rio's Family Garden, $5. Thank you, my friend. Yes, I see that. So thank you very much. If you got a question, always put it with the tips. If you got a question that isn't getting answered, and then make sure that I see it. So thank you guys. Now the Queen RB is, let's see here. Okay. Queen RB, $10. Thank you, my friend. Says I have 3 garden sites, but challenged with indoor space, no garage or basement, doing weed, fertilizer, etc., leaf molds and labs from fresh, raw goat. What else can I do? No way to make fish fert. Okay, then you have 3 garden sites, doing the weed, fertilizer, leaf mold, and labs from fresh, raw goat's milk. You're going to be pretty much good. I would make something a little more high nitro, or a little more powerful, like if you could get some chicken manure or something, or from those goats. If you've got goats, incorporate that manure into there. That's what you want to do, definitely. But yeah, if you can't make that, my favorite of all is the fish fertilizers. Because there's just something about it that the plants absolutely love it. They love it. So, okay, Tyler says, I bought dirt from a nursery for my raised beds. It is a very barky and full of wood. Was wondering how I could make this wood dirt better for my plants. Okay, let me take a sip of this. So, the way to do that, and you have to understand that these companies that produce most of this stuff is they are in the business of making money, of course. And so what's going to make money when you sell a product by weight or cubic yards? Having more of it. And what's going to make you even more money? Having more of it faster. And so having the maximum amount of volume as fast as possible is what the business model is all about for most of them. Although Mish, the fish, did tell me about hers in Texas that sounded really lovely, but she paid $2,500 to fill her garden beds with this amazing soil. But short of that, most of the other companies are not doing like that. When you're getting at $40 or $70 a yard, forget about it, or something, or like $20 a yard. So they use all kinds of compost of wood chips and all kinds of scraps, and then they'll spray it with enzymes to make it decompose faster, but it's not plant available for quite some time more. So what happens to so many people, and has happened to me over the years, if you purchase soil, fill your garden beds, and the plants just yellow. They just turn yellow because they don't have enough nitrogen, because the stuff isn't decomposed properly. So you need to add some nitro to it. So I would recommend well-composted chicken manure or well-composted, any of the manures are going to work. Also, fresh goat or chicken manure or llama or alpaca, all that stuff is going to be really good. Now, if you can't get any of that, then you can get, now here's kind of a secret. I don't tell you guys very much, but because you can overdo it, but you can get from the horse feed store or from the feed store, like a Tractor Supply, you could get bags of alfalfa pellets where the only ingredient is alfalfa. And you can put those pellets into that bed, water them in there real good, add some labs. Along with that water, add labs because that's going to help the decomposition. Add some of the urea fertilizer, the urine and stuff, the fish fertilizers. But get that alfalfa meal pellets up in the soil. Or if you live in an area, when I was on the West Coast, they had the bags of, it was called like Super Green 321. It's a chicken pellets, chicken composted chicken manure pellets. So you can add those things. That's what I would add. But the best is going to be actual manure, of course. So there's that. Alberto, $10. As a man thinketh. Thank you, my friend. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Absolutely. The power of the mind is above all in your life. So Alberto must be a part of the Thrive Like a Viking community as well. Because every Monday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, we do a Thrive Cast where we talk about this with this level of enthusiasm, except about other matters. The subconscious mind, how it formulates our habit patterns in our life, so many things we talk about. Because growing your own food is only part of thriving. It's the step. It's a big step, but it's not everything. So Kenny Martin, $10. Thank you, my friend. Says, when mixing fertilizers in barrels, could the heat harm the strength or the benefit? If in the sun, the temps could easily be above 120. Thanks, and keep up the good work and positive vibes. So no, you can. Not really, because it's just going to make everything, unless it's getting up to 160, then we'll have problems. But up until about 140, 150, it's not going to be a problem. So if you're like in the desert or if you're some place where it gets blazing hot, then put it in the shade, But even if it gets to 120, that's still, you really don't have to worry about that. Yeah. Ooh, Freebird says, Monday lives are a fertilizer for our souls. Yes, we must cultivate the garden of the mind. So now that will lead me. Okay, did I miss any more super chats? So that will lead me into Urban Gardener says, hey, Nate, love some good kimchi. Yes, guys, that's the podcast I'm talking about that I told you will be on the 9th. So just make a note, and it'll be an extra long day for us because we're going to hit that podcast immediately after this one. So put it on the calendar and come up with some good questions if you want. So that leads me into the topic of that Jerry wanted to have addressed. And so let me read it to you real quick. It says, I see videos about compost teas. Well, let me back up. It says, if you need a topic, the confusion of teas is strong on the internet. Fungal extract and aerobic. I'm sure many are as confused as I am getting looking for silver bullets. I said, okay, could you be more specific? It says, I see videos about compost teas made with extract. Would the manure-based tea with leaf mold be the same as an extract? And how would the fish fertilizer complement this? Or do they negate each other? I said, great questions. So, here's the answer. The compost tea, compost extract, and the fertilizers, which are actually an anaerobic ferment, okay, we'll call it a fermentation, they're all very different. So the simplest one is the extract. The extract is what I have made the video about last year and 2 years ago as well about the seedling fertilizer. Compost extract is wonderful for seedlings. Now, when we make extract, all we're doing, as the name implies, is we're extracting the most water soluble of the nutrients, but also of the microorganisms. So we take it in a mesh bag, or if you need it on a bigger scale, then you create something to make it happen, and you run water through it. You essentially run water through it, or you can soak it for 15 minutes, 15 minutes, or even just a couple of shakes like this, and then take the bag out. And what you're left with is going to be a dark, rich source of compost nutrients, also microorganisms, humic acids, things like this are going to be in there. Yes, there will be some spores of mycorrhizal fungi. There's going to be all kinds of good stuff. But what there's not going to be, if you use a fresh or a fine strainer, is a bunch of larvae of insects. So if you're using just compost in your indoor stuff, then you're going to get all kinds of gnarly flying stuff and stuff that is going to be undesirable indoors. So that's why we filter it through a paint strainer, because then we're just getting all the good stuff. And so that is an extract. Now that has a good amount of nutrients, but you don't get any more microorganisms than what is in the starting mixture. You understand? So the compost tea, and when I say compost tea, I'm always talking about aerated compost teas. All right. The compost tea actually multiplies the microorganisms. And I know this beyond theory, because when we were getting into this in Northern California many years ago now, it was very, very hot and heavy. The Elaine Ingham School and all that, and the books of teeming with microbes, all that stuff was just coming out. And so everybody was on that train, and we were all brewing huge 1,000-gallon things of the compost tea and all that stuff. And we were looking in the microscopes at that time because it was all new to everybody. And so we were looking in the microscopes, and you can tell that after the tea has brewed properly, you have multiplied the microorganisms to an unbelievable degree. Shooting the soil. If you're here, you can attest to this, I'm sure, because you've seen in your microscopes this. And so what we're doing with the aerated teas is that we are adding microbes, yes, but we're also adding a food source. And the microbes will double their population every 20 minutes. And any of you guys that know things about exponential systems know how fast that can multiply. And so you can actually take the microorganisms, the good and the bad stuff, which is an arbitrary kind of label. So long as you are starting with a good quality compost, then your microorganism balance is going to be balanced. And so things will keep itself in check. Yes, in high quality compost, there are E. coli strains present. There's E. coli strains present in your gut right now, but everything's kept in check and balanced. And so long as we're using high quality ingredients made the right way, which I'll show you guys how to do all this stuff, then we are multiplying that balance. Essentially, it's not an exact science. Regardless if people want to try to make it out to seem like it's such a complicated science, it's not really. We're just adding the food source, and we're adding several other things, and it multiplies the microorganisms. But one thing that it doesn't multiply is the nutrients. You cannot multiply the nutrients in a compost tea. So you can never, 2 + 2 can never equal 5. So you can't get something that is greater than its constituents. And so that's true with nutrients, because nutrients won't multiply. So for that reason, we will add certain other things, and you will see. But and it's very flexible. You don't have to add every single thing every time. You can just make basic stuff as well. But so that is an aerated compost tea. And we're adding the air because it keeps the activity alive a lot longer. Because we know from our JDOM microbial solution, if you're not adding the air, then once they double their population so much, they peak. And in like 4 hours, then all the food and the air, the usable air is consumed. In the usable oxygen is consumed, and then they will die off. And so we can see this. That's why I always recommend starting by making the JDOM microbial solution, because you can see for yourself the activity. It's all in the foam. And so it's all in the foam. And that's the number one drawback of the aerated teas, is that you can't tell. But you can tell by smell. I mean, I'll show you guys ways to tell. But So I always recommend learning with the JDOM microbial solution, because you will learn how fast that exponential growth, doubling every 20 minutes, can max out the environment, meaning its food source and the air and all of that, and then it dies off. So that's compost extract, compost tea, but then there is the anaerobic fertilizer, the anaerobic ferments. Okay, so that's going to be any of the JDOM stuff. All the JDOM stuff essentially is anaerobic fermentation. And I have changed my tune a little bit over the years on this. JDOM recommends that, okay, you make these ferments and you can, within just 2 weeks, you can start using them. And then you can add more and keep using them and add more and keep using them. I have found that in the vegetable garden and stuff that's actually not the best way to do it. The best way to do it is like this, and here's why. Is because you will make the ferment, the barrel, and then put in the leaf mold, put in the water, and then seal it up, and then leave it digest. You want to leave it digest, because the anaerobic fermentation, and most of the microorganisms are conditionally anaerobic, meaning that they can survive just fine in the presence or in the absence of oxygen. And so they will digest all of that plant material and all of that manures or whatever you're putting into the ferment. They will consume all the food source. But then once the food source is consumed, they will die off. And so including the pathogens, including all the stuff, once the food is consumed, they die off. And so if you look at it under a microscope, it will be dead. The solution will look relatively dead compared to like a compost tea. But that's fine, because what they leave behind is their bodies and their fecal matter, which is actually plant food, all the good stuff that the plants need. So that's the best way to do the ferments. And like Jerry asked about the manure that I was telling him to make, that is, Nancy DeWalt, $10. Thank you very much, my friend. Appreciate that. That's the way to do it. Use CashApp. That's a good way to do it. Thank you. So Jerry, yes, that manure one, that is an anaerobic ferment. So the anaerobic ferments, we want to make it, let it digest until it's mostly liquefied. You'll be able to tell when it's sort of dead. Like my barrels, I'll show you guys this spring, but when I go, it's like almost completely liquefied. Everything's just totally liquefied. All the stuff I had put in there over the past several years, last year I didn't use any of it. So it's liquefied completely now. So, I could go on and on. But that's good for now. I hope that answered the question and didn't just make it more complicated. But the compost extract is really great, but you got to have huge amounts of stuff to be utilizing it. So ideally, compost extract is going to be for indoor stuff. Okay, aerated teas, you can also use it for indoor, but it's not necessary. So we will, aerated teas is what we're going to use for the outside. And we can spray the aerated teas all over the leaves and everything. Oh, it just drinks it in. It loves it. But the anaerobic ferments, we don't spray on the leaves. I've changed my tune on that as well. We don't spray on the leaves, especially not tomato plants. So that's the difference between all that stuff. Scorpio 1969, $20. Thank you for the support, my friend. You're a regular contributor. I appreciate that. Julie Pooley says, would alfalfa pellets sprinkled on top of thick layer of shredded leaves on raised garden bed help it break down the leaves for this spring? Yeah. It might kind of create an undesirable... There'd be I wouldn't do that. If anything, I would rake back the leaves, put the pellets down, and then put the leaves back over them. That's what I would do. Definitely. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I would do. Rake them back, put the pellets down, and then put the leaves over it and keep it as a mulch. Kenny Martin added a question to my question. Oh, what is that? Oh, here we go. $10. Thank you, Kenny. That's a second one, huh? Thank you. Do you have all of the fertilizer recipes, etc., in one video? Or if not, could you combine? Thanks again. No. I mean, check out the playlist. There's like 27 videos on how to make fertilizers. So no, I can't combine all of those. But there is a video, if you're asking how to use them, I do have several of those, yes. And you can combine them and use them at point of use is when you combine them, yes. Okay, thank you, Elizabeth. Says, gotta run. Take care, Nate and company. Will mail package to the P.O. box soon. Thank you. She's very regular with sending me all kinds of thoughtful things. Thanks for all you do, Nate. Sorry to have been MIA. Working OT. Good. Well, good to hear from you, my friend. Let's see. Wellness Mind says, big love, Viking. Getting my garden prepped for this season. March is an exciting month. Yes, guys, it is. Definitely. Lita knows. Do potatoes like bunny poo? Yes, they do. Definitely. Rabbit manure you can use fresh. You don't have to worry about it burning anything. It's very benign, but also very good. So you don't have to worry about. Right, Big West says protozoa tea. Never heard of that. Protozoa are part of the aggregate on good compost. Not sure how someone would separate them or why they would. There was a talk last week or the week before about making protozoa tea from grass clippings or something. I don't have any experience with that, and I'm not sure how that would really work. So I can't speak to the efficiency or the reality of that. But there's just no need to. When we're talking about compost teas and microorganisms, just focus on getting high quality compost. That means you make it yourself. I would not know commercially available compost would I brew in a tea. I just wouldn't. You have to know. So, and that's the beauty of it, guys. That's the beauty of it. When you source your food, when food is such an in-depth part of your life, that when you source the food down to the microorganisms that cultivate the soil, that's the way to do it. That's the proper relationship. And so the flavor begins in the compost. This is true. The flavor, my mouth is watering just looking at this. The flavor begins in the compost, guys. And so you want to formulate the best possible compost that you can. And so that is going to make the best, most balanced aerated teas and stuff, which is essentially liquid compost. For those of you that use compost, think about how good stuff does. After you put some compost on it or around it, things just explode. And so we're literally making liquid compost in a way with the teas. And so we don't want to use compost that's all rancid smelling. If it's gone anaerobic, it'll still be fine compost. Just you got to stir it and add some stuff. But don't be making teas out of rancid smelling compost. Not at all. It should smell fresh like forest floor. Because yes, guys, these are Kalima green beans. I got mine from Baker Creek. Maybe you can get them from other places. This is the best one that I have found. They're like a thin kind of French type green bean, and they stay good. They're stringless, and they stay good all the way up until they get real big, and they maintain their texture and flavor in the canning process, which a lot of them will get mushy. But these, all I put is 1 teaspoon of salt in there, sea salt. And then I process them. And these are so delicious, guys. I've been having these things. I do them in 1 pints as well. So I've been having them all winter here and there, once every other week or something. Some stewed green beans. Kalima, Calima. See? And that is a very good green bean, because a lot of them, if you plant them and you just don't get to them in time and they get big, they get real fibrous and you're just chewing on this mouthful of horsehair, just like, oh my God. And you have to spit out huge mouths of strings and stuff. These are not like that. So these stay tender and delicious. I highly recommend them. Yeah. I was growing Landreth stringless and Burpee stringless bush green beans, and yeah, they're stringless, but they're fibrous, and you got to get to them right at the right time. Otherwise, if they get too big, then they're kind of gross. But Kalima, no. You can just actually what I did was I planted a crop and then just let them all grow, and took a couple of pickings so that I could have fresh eating stuff, but then just let them grow, and then harvested the whole plant. Literally cut the plant, because I was going to put garlic there, cut the whole plant and just picked them off then. And so they're good. The flavor's consistent all throughout their stage, the different stage of growth. So that's the thing, guys. And let me just take this opportunity to thank a couple of people that have made recent donations to the PayPal or the CashApp or the Venmo. I appreciate you guys. And definitely Nancy Dewall, who just did right now. And Jane B. and Robert B. Matthew H. Michelle O. BDA. Jonathan W. Name That Button. Richard H. MJC. Donald H. Teresa M. Rita N. Paul K. Sean C. Melissa B. Thank you guys very much. I know there's some others that I probably overlooked. Well, for sure there is, but that's just what I could do right now. But then here is for the Egyptian walking onions, guys. Here's what I have reserved so far. Jenny G, David G, the dad Dan, Freebird, Nathan J, Justin M, Stephen P, Matthew H, Nicole M, and Mackenzie P. So if I forgot your name, then just let me know if you've already paid. But guys, it's $40. Just send it to the PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo. And when the time comes in September, we will package them up and we will send you the Egyptian walking onions, and we'll probably give you some of the Tahitian melon squash seeds from our own personal stash, because we had such an amazing crop this year from just like 2 plants. We still got squash. So if you guys want to get in on that, you got to make the reserve your spot. So I don't know how many, because this is the first year, I don't know how many we'll be able to do, but at least a couple of dozen, at least probably 30 or 40 orders, I would say, that we could fill. You know, beyond that, we'll see. But if you want to get within that, you know, first couple dozen, because I'm going to make a video about it before long, and that's going to really fill up the orders. So, because it's really the perfect thing. It's like a perennial shallot, basically. It can also be used as a green onion. You can also pickle the heads. It's really crazy. Awesome. Blue Wolf says, big shout out to all who support Nate. Thank you, my friend. Big shout out for that. Okay, John Saldana says, hi, it's Sarah again. Thank you so much for all this great advice. I'm excited for our garden this year. Oh yeah, man, you guys are going to have a great garden this year. You kidding me, man? In Colombia, you got a nice climate for growing things right there. Gloria Young, God bless your mission. Thank you for sharing. Thank you, my friend. I receive that. Queen RB says, I really need to can beans rather than just freezing. Guys, I don't even mess with freezing beans anymore. Maybe you guys have found out a way to do it, but there's freezer burnt and then you thaw them out and they're mushy and I'm just over it. And I was over green beans in general because I just couldn't get it right. But then the past 2 years, I have used these Kalimas and they are awesome for canning. So that's why I'm sticking with it. I'm just not even going to bother growing other ones, actually. Ooh, Wojtek, $10. Thank you again, my friend. Some more wisdom here. He says, and now for another word from our sponsor. Like waves against a shore, what clashes with the Tao shall soon dissolve. For in the dance of the universe, only harmony endures. Man. Yes, I resonate with this. Absolutely, guys. This is the kind of stuff we talk about on the Thrive channel for sure. For in the dance of the universe, only harmony endures. So, Big Wheel Dog. Let's see. Which of the fertilizer serums can be stored if you can't apply all of it in one go? Any of the compost extract or teas or microorganism solutions cannot be stored at all. The labs can be stored for a little while, but the anaerobic ferments can be stored indefinitely. The JDOM stuff can be stored pretty much indefinitely. CyberCert says, any Canadian viewers here with Tahitian melon squash seeds to trade or sell? Yeah, because the seed companies were actually out of them this year. I mean, they're kind of hard to get. But yeah, so you will get, with your order of Egyptian onions, you'll get a little bit of the Tahitian squash seeds. Greg Berry says, how do you donate? There's links in the description of this video and every video that I make now. You can go into the links and there is options, PayPal or Venmo or Cash App, or if you're old school, you can send a raven, which is a way of saying P.O. Box. Okay? You can do the P.O. Box method. You can mail it, as some of you have done. I might not have your name on there yet because I didn't receive it yet, but you can mail the payment, and then that will reserve your spot. Whoa, Ken Brown says, I grind my alfalfa pellets in a coffee grinder. That is dedication. I mean, how big's your garden? Or how big is your coffee grinder? One of the two. Because I'm thinking that would take a while to chew through a 50-pound bag of alfalfa pellets with a little tiny... It's all dusty in your face. You should probably just buy a bag of alfalfa meal, is what I would do, because you don't actually have to. You don't have to do anything to them. The pellets, once you start watering them, they will, like those old snakes. You know, they will just disintegrate. Scott Miller says, had to run back in to ask, is living moss a nitrogen fixer? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't really know. I would imagine it is. Not like a legume, though. It's a soil builder, I'm sure. I don't know. Let's see here. Oh, yes. Val says, Cyber Cert, try the Discord channel, Garden Like a Viking. Right. Guys, go to the Discord chat. People are sharing all kinds of pictures and stuff. You know, I can't be directly involved in that, like, because I got other things going on. But if you tag me, if you mention me in it, I'll see it at some point. But you can share pictures and stuff like that. Get advice from other people following these same type of techniques and all that. So I highly recommend that. And again, that's just a link in the description. All kinds of links in the description, guys. Check out the Amazon storefront. You know, I get a small kickback if you guys get stuff from there. But anything that I'm using, I put in the Amazon storefront. So like the pumps that I use, the watering wands, all the trays, all the tent and the lights and all that stuff, the heat mats, it's all in the Amazon storefront there for you guys. Let's see. Was there another question? There was another thing. Let me see. I save pictures sometimes. Let's see here. Okay. Yeah, Dorothy asked on my latest video, can you use the fish bone, where I showed how to make the really good fish fertilizer? It says, can you use fish bones or only entire fish? Can you use canned fish? In this video, did you use 2 bags of sugar or just 1? How much liquid do you think we will get from this mixture? Is it shelf stable? See, Dorothy asked a lot of questions in one question, which is great. So said, can this solution be kept for several years if I don't use it up? And will the bones dissolve? So you can use whole fish with the bones, but if you're just digesting the bones, no. Yeah, it's actually a better method is to soak them in vinegar for a while. But I'll make a video about that later. Entire fish or fish scraps and stuff like that, yes, absolutely. But canned fish, no. That will not work for this because all the enzymes are dead. All the natural bacteria is dead. So if you have canned fish, you can make the fish hydrolysate with that, where we add the molasses and the labs, because we're adding the food source and we're adding the microorganisms. So use canned fish for that if you have that. Yes, I use 2 bags of sugar, but remember, it's a 1-to-1 weight ratio, except I do slightly more than 1-to-1 of fish scraps to sugar, brown sugar. And I will expect to get from that at least a gallon I mean, pretty much most of it turns into the liquid. So at least a gallon, which will last all season because it's very concentrated. To a 55-gallon drum, I mean, we only have to add like a couple ounces or a cup at the most. If we had a cup, now actually we'll probably get like 2 gallons from that, really. So yeah, we'll probably add a half cup or a cup. We'll see. I'll put it all in the recipe. Freebird says, Meyer, not too late to start onions. Nate is starting more now. Oh yeah, absolutely. I just started more yesterday. No problem. So yes, this solution, once you make it, it can be kept for several years. Yes, but you should use it all up in a season, but at 2 seasons, yes. I mean, mine, look, listen. You see how thick it is? It's more like an oil. And this is the last that I have. So that's why I'm making more now. And I made this not last season, the season before that. And so this is all I have left. And so you see how thick that is, though. You can hardly see through it. And it's just like so much more concentrated. Okay? So but the J. Dom stuff is also wonderful, definitely. But we add a lot more of it, definitely. It's a lot easier to make, though. You just throw it in the bucket with the leaf mold. Gojo Ackerman, hi, are French fries made from GMO? There are GMO potatoes, absolutely, yes. So, that much I know. Not for the home gardener, but for the industrial, like in Idaho and stuff like that, yes. Justin Millward, any experience growing or tasting or Malabar spinach, which is not a true spinach, but more heat tolerant? Man, I grew up Malabar spinach 1 year, and the stuff grows like an invasive. I mean, it grows like a vine, wraps up around stuff, sprawled all over the place, huge leaves, dropping them seeds all over the place, which would be great if you wanted that, but it's not really like a spinach. It's like a slimy, and this is just my opinion. This is why I haven't grown it again. It's just so slimy. I mean, kind of like okra in the sense of just you stew it up and it's like kind of like aloe vera, and it's just not spinach. They call it spinach, but yes, see, Muddy Paws knows Malabar is slimy. That's right. It's just so slimy. I have not come up with a good way to use it. But if you did, man, yeah, it'd be great. But it does drop seeds all over the place. So if you live in a place without frost, I would not even consider growing it unless you wanted to have it forever. Just me. Who are you? $20. Thank you, my friend. I will see you this evening. 10:40, kind of late, but yeah, 10:40 is when I will be there. So yes, I will see you soon. Looking forward to it. Yes, I will be hungry if you're asking. So you could just save me a plate. That'd be great. I'm sure whatever it is will be delicious. So Scott Miller says, Ken, it's great for fungus flies. I think someone's talking about cinnamon. Okay, so cinnamon for a root stimulator. I don't actually have experience with that happening. So I don't know if it would be a root stimulator or how that mechanism would operate. But I do know that if you have the fungus, then you can sprinkle cinnamon on the top of the soil, and that will really help to curb the issue. But that doesn't solve the cause of the fungus. And that is improper growing conditions. Too much watering, not enough airflow, too cold of soil, all these kind of things. Yeah? Big West says, watch Nate's latest FAA video, the fish amino acid video. Yes. Hit the like button, be nice to your friends, and compost your enemies. That's going on a shirt, guys. We're about to get some merch. What do you guys, do you remember this saying? Has anyone else ever heard this? When it comes to planting, I read this in an almanac one time. It said, one for the mouse, one for the crow, one to die and one to grow. Yes, when it talks about you want to plant 4. If you want to harvest 1, you want to plant 4. One for the mouse, one for the crow, one to die and one to grow. I like that for some reason. So, IF says, is black cow manure recommended? I don't have access to a lot of compost. You're talking about black cow in the yellow bags. If that's all you have access to, yes. Then you can use it. But it's going to be second best, you know. Someone asked, how's the Cookie Monkey says, how's the pothos? Oh, it's dying. It's straight up dying. Yeah, it's not doing good. Look at that. It's not doing good. But it's going to be replaced. I've got another one that's thriving and in the prime of its life, and it's going to be replaced. So, and that's fine, you know. This one has had a good life, and it's ready to become life once again as the form of compost and soil. Guys, if you're wanting to make some really good paprika, watch my videos I've made on it, but I really like the Ivarsky sweet pepper is a good sweet paprika. I smoke them and dehydrate them and then powder them. Now also, and I use oak. I like oak, the flavor of oak. Hickory is too intense, I found. Oh yeah, still smells just like a fresh campfire. And you add this stuff to your cooking when you powder it, super good. Now, poblanos are going to add a bit smokier and a bit more of a little bit of spice to it, a little bit of heat. But I always recommend to remove the seeds, guys. I always recommend if you want the best tasting spice, you have to remove the seeds because the seeds have fats in them and that will go rancid. And so if you make your stuff and you leave the seeds in there, it will smell like old paint. Do you know what I mean? And that's the rancid fats in the seeds. So remember that this year, okay? Even if they're dry, they're going to go rancid because they've got the fats in there. Okay, guys. So 91 minutes, and I need to get going on because I got to be stepping on this here plane pretty soon, which is going to be awesome. And going to get transported to the land of Tennessee. So we will see you guys next week. We are still going to have the Monday 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time Thrive cast. I will be in Tennessee though, but that's fine. I'm still going to take a break and do a Thrive cast with you guys. And we will be right here next Saturday at 12 noon. And guys, if you can, just watch the videos and let them play all the way through and share the videos or give the thumbs up or comment. All that stuff helps build the channel. And we've got a lot of things that are coming in the future. Big vision is coming. And so we need to really grow the reach and the audience and the community, the tribe, all of that. We need to expand all of that, okay? Because that's how it's going to happen. Because we got to bring these skills and this knowledge to other people, guys. I already see the visions of it. People will want to come from all over to learn these skills in intensives. And we will have in-person intensive 3-day, 5-day, you know, some work situations for a month or all summer, you know, things like this. So it's all there. I can see it. It's just we need to materialize it. So, okay, guys, thank you all for being here. Thank you for the contributions, and we will see you guys next time. Melanie Dennis says, can you freeze dry seeds to store them? No, I think that would kill them completely. That would totally kill them. So, all right, guys.